Hi, man, with the trailer. If you plan on taking any type of camping trip and maybe you just need something that's pretty compact, but you need a heat source that can keep you warm with a friend, and you want something that might have the capabilities to do a little bit of grilling, then the Ignik Deluxe FireCan is going to be a great option for you. So let's check it out. What I really like about a portable fire pit is the big thing is just going to be safe. So you don't have to really worry about that fire kind of spreading out because everything's going to be contained in one spot. The second thing is typically they're pretty compact, especially the one we have today. Compared to some other ones I've seen, this is probably going to be one of the smallest ones. And it's going to be pretty easy to move since it will have some handles on it. As for performance, I like this one because it uses propane. Now, there's a lot of other fire pits out there that don't use propane, and those work fine too. There are a few things you got to worry about, like where you're going to get your fuel source. And the other thing is they typically don't stay as hot as they do with propane. Now today we're really going to be focusing on a few things. We're going to be focusing on how this is going to work as a fire pit. We'll talk about how it's going to work as a grill, and then I'll talk about some of the features and how it's built. And then I'll give you my final opinion on this. As a fire pit, this is doing pretty alright. Now today it's around 60 degrees and we do have a little bit of a breeze coming through, so it's a little bit chilly. I think this is pretty much perfect for what I'm in right now. Honestly, it might be a little bit hot at the moment. If I had maybe one or two more friends, I think that'd be the max amount of people I could have really sharing this fire. But before we really get into any more of the details about this, let's show you how to hook it up, and then we can talk about that more. Using it as a fire pit isn't going to be too much different than a grill. There will be just a different place you will plug this into, but let's just kind of start off getting ready. So you're going to have everything you need. You're going to have the pit itself and the hose. What you will need is just a propane tank. I'm just going to make sure I grab the hose that comes with the kit since we do have a regulator. You could use any of your own hoses, but I like using this one since we already have this built in. I'm just going to thread that on. Making sure we're looking pretty good here. It's just a good idea to make sure this is off too. And I'm just going to make sure this is in the off position as well. Looking good there. And then we can make the connection to our pit. Now when we're doing this, like I said, there will be a little bit of a difference. We're going to use two different spots. So if you're going to be using this as a fire pit, notice we have this little fire pit symbol here. And off to the side, we're going to have this cook or grill setting. But we have an X through that. That lets us know we're on the fire pit side. And it's going to be vice versa on the other side so you can grill. We're just going to remove that right there. And we can make our connection. And now I'm just going to turn on the propane just a little bit. Just give us a little bit of fuel coming through there. And I'm just going to start off by pushing this in and putting this on low. I'm just going to come right over here with our lighter and start it up. And there we go. Now we got a little fire to keep us nice and warm. And with everything put together, we really talk about how it feels more. Right now, I'm actually feeling a lot of heat, and it's going to be because of a few reasons. We are going to have a dual burner on the fire pit side. That's going to allow us to have just a little bit more of a heat source coming from here, and we're going to have this mesh design to it. So what I mean is on the very front of it and on the back of it is going to be able to allow air to really flow through there, and that's going to help disperse heat. But something else we found is if you're on the side where the breeze is coming through, you're going to feel a lot more of that heat. It's just going to be a lot more easily felt because we do have that mesh on it. Now I did notice if you're on the opposite side of that, you definitely feel that heat a lot less. So that's why I say this is better if you only have maybe 2 friends at max using this with you. Another thing that's really going to impact the heat you have is going to be the flame regulator. So right now we're on low and I'm still feeling a lot of heat. I'm going to move this over just a little bit. We're going over the medium. And I can slowly feel it getting hotter. I'm going to go over to high. Now I can definitely feel a difference, and we've had this running for a few minutes now, and this is getting pretty hot. This is going to be great if you're in anything a little bit above freezing. Now I think it could perform in some below freezing conditions too. You just got to make sure you're a little bit bundled up or in some tight spots because this is a smaller fire pit. But talk about the grill setting, let's actually flip it over now. So I'm just going to shut off that fuel. Turn this off. And we can really flip this around, and it doesn't take really any time. I'm just going to put our grill in here first. Put that into place. I'll flip it around. And I can actually still move this around while it's hot. Reason being is because we got these silicone handles on it. I'm just going to make sure I grab it from that point. Flip it around. Then I'm going to use my quick connection on the other side. That's going to be our grill side. Then I'll be ready to go. And before we actually start this up, I'm going to throw in this grease trap. That's nice we do have that, just in case you got anything that has a lot of grease on it, and you don't have to worry about that dripping on the ground, causing a fire. Now that we got this fire going, we've been having this go for about 5 to 10 minutes now, and that's what it recommends once you preheat this. Once we've done that, we can start cooking. And I'm actually going to lower this down to medium. Just kind of go from there as a good base. And if we actually look at how much room we have here, there's not a ton. So you won't be able to do too much cooking if you're trying to cook for big groups. You could probably maybe get 3 medium-sized burgers on here, maybe 4 small ones. But what we're going to use as a base is just some hot dogs and see how many we can get on there. So it looks like we have a lot of room when it comes down to hot dogs. I'll try to give them a little bit of space to breathe. And after working with it a little bit, we were able to get 8 hot dogs on here. They're a little bit close together, but you can definitely do that. And I think it will be perfect if you do plan on doing some small tailgating for a couple friends. And we're also going to be able to put on this lid so we can kind of keep all that heat together. And we'll cook that for a couple minutes and see how it does. It's been about 2 minutes now, so let's see what it looks like at the moment now. Which aren't working bad at all. Might give them a little flip. See how that little burn marks are on the backside. It's a little bit tight. They're a little bit dark. So I might even have to lower this down just a tad bit. So I'm just going to flip these over and then cook the other side for about 2 minutes too. And now I'm going to check on them again. And these are looking about done. Now I'm going to start serving these up. Something we are doing today, we're actually going to have a few chili dogs. And one of the downsides to that though, is we would have the chili pre-cooked. We won't be able to cook the chili in here just since we don't have any type of container to really hold any type of liquid. So if you have anything like eggs, won't be able to cook in here either. We just got finished eating our chili dogs and they came out pretty good. Much better than I expected. Didn't really take any time to cook them. Now something we did notice too was we didn't have enough room on our plates to really put all the hot dogs on there, so we had to leave some of our hot dogs in place. So what we had to do was actually just take this off and put this to the side so we didn't overcook them, which is something I actually do like if you are limited just on plates when you're out and about, especially when you're camping. Something else I'm kind of impressed by is just the heat of this now. So I can actually fully touch this. It's not hot. We probably took about maybe 10 to 15 minutes to eat, and this is already cooled off. It's not going to retain heat for too long, so that's nice. Now I did check the grease trap too. Really, we don't have anything in there. There might be a couple specks, but just from a few hot dogs, you won't find too much. And the reason why we got to use a different port for when we use the propane with this fire pit is because these use different type of burners. So on the fire pit side, like I said, it's going to use a dual burner. On the grill side, it's going to use a single burner. The reason being is you don't want too much heat being applied to your food all at once, or it's going to burn. Like you saw with the hot dogs, they got a little bit charred on some sides. Honestly, that was pretty good, but you can see why us having it just on medium there could really affect how your cooking is going to go. Now let's kind of focus a little bit on the specs. Now, as far as specs go for this, the construction of this is being pretty well built. So this is going to be made from a stainless steel. So even though it's well built, It's going to be pretty lightweight too. It's only going to be a little bit over 13.5 pounds. And that's perfect, especially if you are planning any hiking trips and you want to be pretty mobile. You'll be able to put this in a bag and take it with you all over the place. Or if you're trying to fit this into your vehicle, as you can tell, this isn't going to take up really any room at all, especially when I fold up these legs. And then I can throw that little grill back in here for even more storage. And I threw my grease trap in here just to make sure everything's in the same location so I don't lose anything. And put my lid back into place. And then we'll go back down to the legs. So what I like about these legs are they feel pretty robust. They're pretty solid. They take a little bit of pressure to kind of move around, but I don't mind that. That just kind of gives me a little more peace of mind that they're going to last a long time. And they're going to have this black powder coat finish on them so they don't rust. Now, stainless steel is going to be less likely of rusting too just because of that material. We're also going to have this kind of rubber pad here. Is going to match some of the accents we have on the rest of this FireCan. And what this is really doing is if you're going to store this inside your car or your truck or your camper, what can happen sometimes if you have a sharp edge, you can tear up something. This is just going to help make sure it doesn't tear up anything. And what I also like about this is going to be its compact nature. As you can tell, this isn't going to take up much room at all, especially if you're running out of space in your car or you don't want to lug around too much stuff when you're going on those longer hikes, when you are going out and about on those camping trips. Especially if you even have a small camper that doesn't have a very large compartment to store items, this is going to fit in there really nicely. Now, another thing that is going to be pretty compact is going to be the Ignik gas growler. A lot of people like to use these together because there's not too much of a size difference between them. If I actually put them side by side, the gas growler is about the same dimensions almost. So this is going to be perfect if you are looking for something a little more lightweight. And when we break it down to cost, if you compare this to those small green tanks that aren't refillable, this is actually going to be a lot more affordable in the long run. And what we're going to be able to hook that up to is going to be the included hose in your kit. Now we're going to have this little strap that keeps everything together. I'll try to put mine back on. But this is going to be about 5 feet, and we are going to have that flame regulator on here too. So this would do you good for most situations. If you need something more than 5 feet, there are plenty of hoses out there, but I do like the fact that we have this custom-made flame controller. And that was just a look at some of the features of the Ignik Deluxe FireCan. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.